What I'm about to tell you completely shattered everything I thought I knew about myself, and about her. For 8 months, I lived with Sarah, convinced she was the straightest girl on campus. She had a boyfriend, talked about wedding plans, the whole thing. But then, one rainy Thursday night, she did something that changed both our lives forever. If you've ever questioned everything you thought you knew about someone close to you, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments if you've ever been completely wrong about someone you trusted. My name is Jessica, and 6 months ago, I thought I had my life figured out. I was a junior at State University, majoring in psychology, and I'd just moved into this gorgeous 2-bedroom apartment near campus with my roommate Sarah Chin. We'd met through the university housing board, both of us looking for someone responsible, clean, and drama-free. Sarah seemed perfect on paper. She was a business major, organized to a fault, and had this infectious laugh that could light up any room. Plus, she had a long-term boyfriend named Marcus who she'd been dating since high school. The first few months living together were exactly what you'd expect from 2 busy college students. We'd pass each other in the kitchen making coffee at ungodly hours, share occasional takeout while cramming for exams, and maintain that polite but friendly roommate dynamic. But there were these moments. Like when I'd catch her staring at me from across our tiny living room, her dark eyes lingering just a second too long before she'd quickly look away. Or how she'd find excuses to touch my shoulder when she passed behind me in the kitchen, her fingers lingering just slightly longer than necessary. "Jess, can you help me reach this?" she'd ask, even though she was barely an inch shorter than me. And when I'd reach up to grab whatever she needed, I'd feel her presence right behind me, close enough that I could smell her jasmine perfume and feel the warmth radiating from her body. I told myself I was imagining things. Sarah was straight. She had pictures of her and Marcus all over her nightstand. She talked about their future plans, graduation, moving in together officially, maybe even engagement rings. She was just being friendly, right? But then there was the way she'd look at me when she thought I wasn't paying attention. I'd be reading on the couch, completely absorbed in my textbook, and I'd get this feeling, like someone was watching me. I'd glance up, and there she'd be, sitting at our small dining table with her laptop open, supposedly working on assignments. But her eyes would be on me, soft and curious, with an expression I couldn't quite read. "What?" I'd ask, smiling. "Nothing," she'd say quickly, that beautiful flush creeping up her neck. "Just, you look really focused." "It's nice." The first real moment of tension happened during our 3rd month living together. It was a Friday night, and Marcus was supposed to come over for their weekly date night. But he canceled last minute, some emergency with his fraternity brothers. Sarah was disappointed, sitting on our couch in this stunning black dress she'd bought just for the occasion. "Well, this is depressing," she sighed, looking down at herself. "All dressed up with nowhere to go." "You look absolutely gorgeous," I said without thinking, and immediately felt my cheeks burn. "I mean, that dress is really beautiful on you." She looked up at me then, and for just a moment, the air between us felt different. Charged. Electric. "Thank you, Jess," she whispered, her voice softer than usual. That means a lot coming from you." Have you ever felt that kind of tension with someone you're supposed to just be friends with? After that Friday night, something shifted between us. It was subtle at first, longer conversations over morning coffee, Sarah asking for my opinion on her outfits, me finding excuses to spend time in common areas when she was around. She started staying up later, timing her study sessions with mine. We'd both be in the living room with our laptops, supposedly working on separate assignments, but I found myself stealing glances at her more and more. The way she'd tuck her hair behind her ear when she was concentrating. How she'd bite her lower lip when she was thinking. The soft sighing sounds she'd make when she was frustrated with her coursework. Jess, she said one evening, breaking the comfortable silence. Can I ask you something personal? My heart started racing. Sure. Have you ever questioned things about yourself? Like, things you thought you knew for certain? I set my laptop aside, giving her my full attention. What do you mean? She was quiet for a long moment, her fingers playing with the hem of her oversized sweater. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if we really know ourselves as well as we think we do. Are you okay, Sarah? You seem like something's been bothering you lately. She looked up at me then, and I saw something vulnerable in her eyes that I'd never noticed before. I've been having these thoughts about things I never thought I'd think about. Before I could ask what she meant, her phone buzzed. Marcus. The moment was broken, and she answered with her usual bright voice, but I caught her glancing at me throughout the entire conversation. The real turning point happened the following week. It was late Tuesday night, around 11 p.m., and I'd just gotten out of the shower. I was in my room, wearing just a towel, looking for pajamas, when I heard Sarah's voice from the living room. Jess? Are you decent? I need to talk to someone. Give me 2 seconds. I called back, quickly throwing on shorts and a tank top. When I came out, I found Sarah sitting on our couch with a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. She'd changed into these soft cotton shorts and an oversized t-shirt, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked younger somehow, more vulnerable. Marcus and I had a fight, she said, patting the couch beside her. A big one. I sat down, probably closer than I should have, and accepted the glass of wine she offered. What happened? He wants me to transfer to his university next year. Says long distance won't work after graduation. She took a large sip of wine. But Jess, I don't want to leave. I love it here. I love our apartment, our routine, our... She stopped herself. Our what? She looked at me, her eyes slightly glassy from the wine and emotion. Our friendship. I've never had a friendship like this before. The way she said friendship made my stomach flutter. Like she was testing how the word felt. What would you have done in her situation? We finished that bottle of wine and opened another. Sarah moved closer to me on the couch, close enough that our knees were touching. The conversation flowed from Marcus to her fears about the future, to dreams she'd never shared with anyone. You know what's crazy, she said, her voice slightly slurred from the wine. I used to have these dreams when I was younger. About being different. About wanting different things. Different how? She was quiet for so long I thought she might not answer. Then, barely above a whisper, about girls. My heart stopped. Sarah. I know. It's ridiculous. I have Marcus. I've always had boyfriends. But sometimes. She turned to face me fully, her dark eyes searching mine. Sometimes I look at you, Jess, and I feel things I've never felt before. The air between us was electric. I could feel my pulse in my throat, could see the rise and fall of her chest as her breathing quickened. What kind of things? I whispered, not trusting my voice to speak louder. Instead of answering, she reached out and touched my face, her fingertips tracing my cheeks so gently it felt like a whisper. You're so beautiful, she breathed. I've wanted to tell you that for months. I should have pulled away. I should have reminded her about Marcus, about how confused she was, about how this could complicate everything. But instead, I leaned into her touch. Sarah, you're with Marcus. I know, she said, but she didn't move her hand away. But right now, I don't want to think about Marcus. I don't want to think about what I'm supposed to want, or who I'm supposed to be. Right now, I just want to be honest about what I'm feeling. She moved even closer, close enough that I could feel her breath on my lips. And what I'm feeling is that I've never wanted to kiss someone as much as I want to kiss you right now. My whole body was trembling. Sarah. Tell me you don't feel it too, she whispered, her thumb gently brushing across my lower lip. Tell me I'm imagining this connection between us. But I couldn't tell her that. Because I did feel it. I'd been feeling it for months, pushing it down, telling myself it wasn't real. I feel it, I admitted, my voice barely audible. The smile that spread across her face was radiant. Really? Before I could respond, she was kissing me. Soft at first, tentative, like she was asking permission. But when I kissed her back, everything intensified. Months of tension, of stolen glances, of wondering, what if, all poured into that kiss. Her hands tangled in my hair, and I pulled her closer, closer than I'd ever held anyone. She tasted like wine and something uniquely her, something intoxicating and addictive. When we finally broke apart, both of us breathing hard, she rested her forehead against mine. I can't believe we just did that, she whispered. Have you ever felt this kind of tension with someone? The next morning changed everything. I woke up on the couch alone, covered with a blanket I didn't remember putting on. Sarah's bedroom door was closed, and I could hear her moving around inside. When she finally emerged for coffee, she avoided my eyes completely. Good morning, I said carefully, trying to read her expression. Morning, she replied, but her voice was different. Distant. She poured her coffee quickly and headed straight for the door. I have early classes today. See you later. And she was gone. For the next 3 days, Sarah became a ghost in our own apartment. She'd leave early, come home late, and when we did cross paths, she'd give me polite but cold responses to any attempt at conversation. On Thursday night, I couldn't take it anymore. I waited up for her, sitting on our couch with a cup of tea, determined to talk about what had happened. She came home around 10 p.m., clearly surprised to see me waiting. We need to talk, I said gently. Jess, I don't think. Please. Just sit with me for 5 minutes. She hesitated, then slowly sat down on the opposite end of the couch, as far from me as possible. Are you regretting what happened? I asked directly. Her face crumpled slightly. It's not that simple. Then help me understand. She was quiet for a long moment, staring at her hands. Marcus proposed. My stomach dropped. What? Tuesday morning. Right after he found out about our fight, he drove down here with a ring. Said he realized he didn't want to risk losing me, that he'd figure out the distance thing. She looked up at me, tears in her eyes. I said yes. I felt like I'd been punched. Do you love him? I thought I did. I've been with him for 3 years, Jess. He's safe. He's what I'm supposed to want. That's not what I asked. She started crying then, soft tears rolling down her cheeks. I don't know anymore. Before that night with you, I thought I knew exactly who I was and what I wanted. But now... Now what? Now I can't stop thinking about you. About how it felt to kiss you. About how natural it felt, how right it felt. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. But I'm engaged, Jess. I have a ring on my finger and a future planned out. But is it the future you want? She looked at me with such pain in her eyes. What if I'm just confused? What if this is just some kind of phase, or rebellion, or... She shook her head. I can't throw away 3 years with Marcus for something I don't even understand. You don't have to throw anything away, I said, moving slightly closer. But you also don't have to pretend that night didn't happen. Don't you see? That's exactly what I have to do. She stood up abruptly. I'm sorry, Jess. I'm so sorry for confusing you, for confusing everything. But this can't happen again. Can you relate to this feeling? 2 weeks passed in excruciating politeness. Sarah wore her engagement ring like armor, and Marcus started spending more time at our apartment. Watching them together was torture, seeing her go through the motions of being the perfect fiancée while I caught her stealing glances at me when she thought no one was looking. The breaking point came on a Friday night. Marcus was over for dinner, and I'd planned to spend the evening at the library to give them privacy. But as I was leaving, I heard raised voices from the kitchen. I don't understand why you're being so distant lately, Marcus was saying. Ever since I proposed, you've been different. I'm not being distant, Sarah replied, but even I could hear the strain in her voice. Are you having second thoughts? Because if you are, you need to tell me now. I should have left. I should have respected their privacy. But something in Sarah's voice made me stop. I'm not having second thoughts about you, she said carefully. Then what? Is it Jessica? You've been weird around her too. My heart stopped. It's not about Jessica. Isn't it? Because I've noticed how you look at her, Sarah. How you light up when she comes home. How you find excuses to touch her or stand close to her. There was a long silence. I pressed myself against the wall, hardly breathing. Marcus, you're being paranoid. Am I? Because sometimes I feel like I'm competing with your roommate for your attention. And that's not normal, Sarah. That's not how engaged people act. You're not competing with anyone. Then prove it. Kiss me. Kiss me like you used to. Another silence, this one even longer. I can't do this right now, Sarah said, her voice breaking. Can't do what? Kiss your fiancé? I can't pretend anymore. The words exploded out of her, raw and desperate. I can't keep pretending that everything is normal when nothing feels normal anymore. What are you talking about? I heard footsteps, like she was pacing. I kissed her, Marcus. I kissed Jessica, and it felt more real than anything I've felt in 3 years with you. The silence that followed was deafening. You what? Marcus's voice was deadly quiet. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but I can't keep lying to you or to myself. I think I might be gay, Marcus. Or at least not straight. And I think I'm falling in love with my roommate. I heard a chair scrape against the floor, then Marcus's voice, cold and furious. 3 years, Sarah. 3 fucking years, and you're telling me you're gay? I didn't know. I swear I didn't know until. Until what? Until you decided to experiment with your roommate? Jesus Christ, Sarah. It wasn't an experiment. It was the first time in my life something felt completely right. I'm done. I'm fucking done with this. I heard footsteps stomping toward the front door, heard it slam so hard the walls shook. Then I heard Sarah collapse into sobs. Have you experienced something similar? I waited a few minutes before quietly entering the apartment. I found Sarah on the kitchen floor, still in her dress, engagement ring sitting on the counter beside her, crying like her world had just ended. Sarah? I said softly. She looked up at me, mascara streaked down her face. You heard all of that, didn't you? I sat down on the floor beside her. Most of it. I'm such a mess, she whispered. I just blew up my entire life. You told the truth. That's not blowing up your life, that's finally living it. She leaned against me, and I wrapped my arms around her. What if I'm wrong? What if this is just some kind of crisis, and I just destroyed the best relationship I've ever had for nothing? Do you think it's nothing? I asked, stroking her hair. She was quiet for a moment. No. This feels like everything. Then you weren't wrong. She pulled back to look at me. But what happens now? Where do we go from here? We figure it out together, I said, cupping her face in my hands. If you want to. I want to, she whispered, then kissed me again. This time there was no hesitation, no guilt, no fear. Just pure honesty. When we broke apart, she smiled for the first time in weeks. You know what the crazy part is? What? When I was telling Marcus about kissing you, I realized something. I've never wanted to tell anyone about kissing him. I've never felt proud or excited about being with him. But with you. She shook her head in wonder. With you, I want to tell the whole world. Even if the world doesn't understand? Especially then. She picked up her engagement ring from the counter, looking at it for a moment before sliding it into a drawer. I'm done living my life based on what other people expect from me. 6 months later, Sarah and I are still roommates. But we're also so much more than that. She's the first person I think about when I wake up and the last person I want to see before I sleep. She's my best friend and my greatest love, all wrapped into one incredible woman who had the courage to choose authenticity over comfort. The twist? Last week, Marcus reached out to Sarah. He's engaged to someone new, and he wanted to thank her. He said that watching her choose herself taught him that he deserved someone who was sure about him, not someone settling for him. He's happier now than he's been in years. Sometimes the scariest decisions lead to the most beautiful outcomes, not just for us, but for everyone involved. Have you ever had to choose between what felt safe and what felt true? Share your story in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more real stories about love, courage, and finding yourself. What would you have done in Sarah's situation?